A man jumped from a commercial airliner at 10,000 feet and vanished forever. He had $200,000 in cash strapped to his body. Nobody has ever found him, or the money. His name on the ticket was Dan Cooper. He bought a one-way seat on Northwest Orient Flight 305 in Portland, Oregon on the evening of November 24, 1971, paid cash, and said almost nothing. The FBI would spend 45 years hunting him. But the strangest clue in the entire case only surfaced 9 years after the jump, and it still has no explanation. Flight 305 was a routine domestic hop, Portland to Seattle, less than 30 minutes in the air. Cooper took a window seat in the rear, ordered a bourbon and soda, and lit a cigarette. Then he slipped a handwritten note to flight attendant Florence Schaffner. She nearly tossed it away without reading it. The note said he had a bomb. He opened his briefcase just wide enough for Schaffner to see what looked like red cylinders connected by wires. He was completely calm, no raised voice, no threats, no dramatics. He told her, in a quiet voice, exactly what he wanted. And the precision of those demands told investigators something important about who he was. $200,000 in unmarked $20 bills, and 4 parachutes, 2 primary, 2 reserve. The airline and the FBI agreed to comply. Before the money was handed over at Seattle-Tacoma Airport, agents photographed and logged the serial number of every single bill. If that cash ever surfaced anywhere on Earth, they would know it the moment it appeared. Cooper released all 36 passengers in Seattle and kept the crew. At 7:40 p.m. the plane took off again, heading south at low altitude and reduced airspeed. Crew only, by Cooper's exact specifications. He was wearing a dark business suit, a thin black clip-on tie, and loafers. No cold weather gear. No map. The weather outside was about to matter enormously. Somewhere over the dense forests of southwestern Washington, Cooper lowered the Boeing 727's rear air stair, one of the only commercial jets in the world with a door designed to open in flight. The crew felt a bump and a sudden pressure change. When they checked, the air stair was down. Cooper was gone. The search that followed found absolutely nothing. Teams swept hundreds of square miles of wilderness, helicopter passes, ground searches through old-growth timber and river gorges that cut hundreds of feet into the rock. No parachute fabric, no footprints, no ransom bills. The terrain below his projected flight path is among the most unforgiving in the Pacific Northwest. If Cooper came down in those mountains, the forest swallowed him whole. The FBI compiled every detail the crew could recall. Mid-40s, around 5 feet 10, 170 to 180 pounds, dark complexion, dark hair. He was composed throughout, described by the crew as oddly polite. A composite sketch went out nationwide, but there were no fingerprints anywhere on the aircraft, and the name on the ticket was not real. The name D.B. Cooper was actually a reporter's mistake. A journalist in Portland confused the suspect with an unrelated local man named D.B. Cooper, who had no connection to the hijacking whatsoever. The alias on the ticket was Dan Cooper. But D.B. Cooper stuck in every headline, every federal file, every retelling for 50 years. Somewhere behind that invented name, a real person was hiding. Analysts built a behavioral profile that kept pointing in one direction. He had known that the 727's rear air stair could open in flight, a fact almost no civilian passenger would ever think to research. He used skydiving terminology correctly under pressure. He dictated specific altitude and airspeed requirements that only someone familiar with aircraft operations would demand. The FBI concluded he almost certainly had military training, likely airborne or special operations. On February 10, 1980, an 8-year-old boy named Brian Ingram was digging in the sand along the Columbia River at a location called Tennebar, near Vancouver, Washington. His fingers hit something stiff and rotting beneath the surface. He pulled up a bundle of decomposing $20 bills. The FBI compared the serial numbers against their records. Every single one matched the Cooper ransom. But what the condition of those bills revealed made the case stranger than ever. Of the $200,000, only $5,800 has ever been recovered, that one rotting bundle. The remaining $181,800 has never appeared in any bank, any arrest, any criminal record anywhere in the world. If Cooper survived and spent it, he did so in complete, undisturbed silence for more than 5 decades. That is either the most disciplined crime in American history, or evidence that he never left the forest alive. The condition of the Tenenbaum bills was troubling. Experts determined they had not been deliberately buried there. They had been deposited slowly by water action, carried by river current over years. But Tenenbaum was nowhere near any of the projected drop zones for the flight. Cooper should have landed miles from that river. Something had moved that money to where it was found, and no one has ever agreed on what. Over 800 suspects were formally investigated across 4 decades. Most were cleared quickly, but some fit the profile in ways that were genuinely difficult to dismiss. The right age, the right build, the right background. And one suspect in particular had something the others didn't: a direct personal connection to the exact airline Cooper hijacked. Kenneth Christensen was a former Army paratrooper who spent years working as a Northwest Orient Airlines purser, the same carrier as Flight 305. After Christensen's death in 1994, his nephew Lyle came forward and said Kenneth had confessed to being Dan Cooper. He matched the physical description, had the parachuting skills, and knew the airline's operations from the inside. The FBI examined the lead carefully. They could never confirm it, and he was dead before DNA testing could settle the question. In April 1972, a man named Richard Floyd McCoy staged a nearly identical hijacking of a commercial Boeing 727, handwritten note, bomb claim, parachute exit. He was arrested within days and sentenced to 45 years. Many investigators suspected McCoy and Cooper were the same person. The FBI ran a rigorous forensic comparison and concluded they were definitively 2 different people, which meant Cooper's method had spawned a copycat, without Cooper himself ever being caught. Robert Rackstraw, a former Army paratrooper with convictions for fraud and theft, became the most prominent living suspect of the modern era. An independent researcher claimed to find a coded message embedded in the original Cooper ransom note pointing directly to Rackstraw. The FBI investigated him multiple times and interviewed him directly. He denied being Cooper until he died in 2019. No charges were ever filed. Cooper left his black clip-on tie on the seat when he strapped on the parachute. In 2011, an independent forensic team examined it under an electron microscope and found microscopic particles of rare titanium alloy, a material used in specific industrial manufacturing processes at only a handful of American companies in the early 1970s. It suggested Cooper may have worked in aerospace or heavy industrial manufacturing. The lead narrowed the field significantly, but not enough to name anyone. On July 12, 2016, the FBI officially suspended active investigation into the D.B. Cooper hijacking. 45 years, hundreds of agents, more than 1,000 tips per year at the case's peak, 0 arrests, 0 confirmed sightings. It remains the only unsolved air piracy in the history of American commercial aviation. But the evidence left behind still points somewhere, if you know how to read it. The FBI's working theory is that Cooper died in the jump. The terrain below his projected flight path, steep ravines, old-growth timber, near-freezing temperatures, and total darkness, made survival nearly impossible for a man in a business suit and loafers, carrying no compass, no shelter, no knowledge of where he had come down. If his body fell into that wilderness, it may never surface. But that theory has one problem it cannot solve. If Cooper died in the Cascades, how did $5,800 of his ransom money end up on a sandbar 40 miles away? Carried there, experts determined, by river current over years? No reconstruction of Columbia River hydrology has ever convincingly explained how those specific bills traveled from any projected Cascade landing zone to Tenenbaum. That money went somewhere before it reached the river, and where it went is the one question this case has never answered. Here is what the evidence actually establishes. The man was real, methodical, and clearly experienced with both aircraft and parachutes. The crime was precisely planned and executed without harming a single person. He vanished without leaving a fingerprint, a confirmed sighting, or a single spent bill. Whatever happened in those mountains on the night of November 24, 1971, whether he survived or died, he took the answer with him into the dark. The most honest conclusion to the D.B. Cooper case is this: we don't know, and we may never know. Not the FBI after 45 years. not the independent investigators who gave decades to this file. The evidence is too fragmented, the wilderness too deep, the money too silent. What we know for certain is that someone committed the only unsolved air piracy in American history, stepped off the back of a moving jet, and left behind a mystery that has outlasted every investigator who ever tried to close it. If you made it all the way here, you're exactly the kind of curious mind this channel is built for. Subscribe to Hidden History Vault, and the next unsolved story will find you.